Congressman Brad Sherman has introduced articles of impeachment against President Trump.
The congressman joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon, Congressman.
Good to be with you.
With Mr. Trump experiencing 85% approval rate among Republicans, where do you expect this to go?
Well, at this point, I don't expect it to lead to impeachment of the president in the foreseeable future. As to an immediate effect, there is some hope that this will trigger, along with many other things, an intervention in the White House, where the staff will sit down with the president and get him to govern in a different style. Because if he's able to provide competent governance, if he's able to stop announcing foreign policy by tweets at 4 in the morning, then, although I think the line has been crossed, I think articles of impeachment are called for, I'll never get the Republican support that it would take those articles to pass. But if we have this craziness last for another 6 months, then Republicans will begin to take a look at these articles very seriously. So as for any immediate positive effect, I'm hoping that this shakes up the White House just a little bit, along with so many other reasons why they ought to be changing their approach.
Why introduce this yesterday, now today? You talked about this a month ago, so it's been in the works, but why now?
As I said a month ago, I'm going to circulate draft articles of impeachment, consult with legal experts around the country, consult with my colleagues. I did that for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we had the 4th of July break. This is our first day back from that 4th of July break. I had gotten all the information I needed. It was time to file.
Congressman, why not let Special Counsel Robert Mueller just do his job? He's held in high esteem by both Republicans and Democrats, and he said that he's going to take it under his purview. Why not just let him do his job?
Well, the Congressional Research Service issued a report looking at the last 100 years, showing that congressional hearings, and I hope that we get Judiciary Committee hearings on these articles, although it won't be anytime soon, that they are not inconsistent with, that they don't interfere with Department of Justice investigations like Robert Mueller's. So one does not displace the other. The reason to go forward at this time is twofold. First, to try to get the White House to see the importance of competency. Second, to try to get the ball rolling. And third, because we have solid evidence, sworn testimony of James Comey, that if you compare to the criminal law of the United States, particularly Section 1512b3, you see that there's very clear and convincing evidence that obstruction of justice has occurred. Now, there may be other grounds for impeachment that the other investigations uncover, but we already have the clear and convincing evidence of obstruction of justice.
But like you said, you wouldn't have the votes you need, especially with the number of Republicans in Congress, so you wouldn't have that vote. In fact, the White House called it completely ridiculous, a political game. What do you say to the critics out there?
I say that anything that has any chance of getting the White House staff to do an intervention and causing a competent approach to governance is worth trying. That second, that there is clear evidence of violation of Section 1512b3 of the federal statutes. And finally, that we need to get the ball rolling. And if indeed we do not get competent governance in the next 6 months, 8 months, there will be substantial Republican support. If the president were to stop reversing foreign policy decisions by tweet at 4 in the morning and thereby eliminate the possibility that these articles would be passed, that wouldn't be such a bad thing.
Was it illegal for Trump Jr. to have met with this Russian attorney?
It's a very close call, and whether Trump Jr. did anything illegal is not near as significant as the obstruction of justice by his father. President Trump fired Comey, who was conducting the investigation into collusion with Russia, and the next day said, by firing him, I've lifted the cloud. I've eliminated the or curtailed the investigation. And now the emails that you're aware of, that you're citing, demonstrate that that investigation into Russian collusion was a very serious matter. It may, at a minimum, involve a crime committed by Donald Trump Jr. And so the president had every reason to try to derail that investigation. Of course, firing Comey was not an effective way to do that, but there's no requirement for an obstruction of justice finding to say that it was a competent, careful, well-thought-out plan to defeat justice. What we have here is obstruction of justice and a clear reason for doing so. We also have a second obstruction of justice in the effort to force Comey to abandon the investigation of Michael Flynn. Right. So we've got a clear high crimes and misdemeanors here.
All right, Congressman Brad Sherman, we thank you for your time. You certainly have people talking on both sides of the aisle. Thank you much for joining us today.
Good to be with you.